And welcome back to 4.4. Let's move into vocabulary over continuous and discrete graphs. That's what we'll be talking about next. And then we will do some kind of weird nonlinear function rules. Okay? So let's take a look at kind of what it means to be continuous or discrete. Let me make sure I have my notes ready to go. That's the rustling around you hear. I don't try to do this blind. Usually. Continuous graph is a graph that's unbroken, right? It has a set of input values that consist of, let me make sure I get my little red dot going. Where are you, little red dot? Nothing yet, huh? Let me get that pulled up. I want my little red dot. There you are. All right. Consists of all numbers. Of a specific interval. So some examples of continuous graphs, I'll just go ahead and sketch them over here for you. Continuous graphs that you might see may look like this. The linear ones, right, you'll have linear increasing, you'll have linear decreasing, you'll have, nonlinear either increasing or decreasing, or you may get something that looks like a stair stepper, right? Something like that. So graphs that are continuous, all numbers, right? Like we talked about the whole set in 1.3 of rational numbers. You get the fractions and decimals in there as well, right? Discrete's a little weirder. It's distinct isolated points. Has a set of input values that consist of only certain numbers on a specific interval. So like, for example, you may get like linear discrete, but it may look like this. And it won't be connected, right? So distinct isolated points. Continuous graph that is unbroken, right? It's connected. Discrete is disconnected, and I'll kind of show you what I mean as we get into the example here. So discrete could also be weird, scattered all over the place like that. So let's go on to the next graph. So a local cheesemaker is making cheddar cheese to sell at a farmer's market. The amounts of milk used to make the cheese and the price at which he sells the cheese are shown. So write a function for each situation. So the first one, we've got 1 gallon of milk makes 16 ounces of cheese, right? 1 gallon of milk makes 16 ounces of cheese. So we've got the weight of the cheese. We'll use W, right? You're going to be multiplying 16 ounces. Go ahead and pause this right here. Okay, back at it. Sorry about that. I had to pause that, make sure I was saying the right thing. You're going to have W equals 16, right? I got to put my pen back on there. Super obnoxious. W equals 16 ounces times every gallon of milk. So W equals 16M. I'm going to have on my y-axis here, that's going to be my ounces, right? My x-axis is going to be my gallons. Because the more, gallons I put in, that's what's going to make my cheese. I'm going to start with 0 here. And I'm going to have, I'm just going to go 1, keep it simple, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for every gallon, right, I could have, 16 ounces of cheese, 16, 32, 48, what was that, 64, and 80. And guys, this is going to be, I'll tell you why, this is going to be continuous. Because it's going to include, right, this is the pattern. For every 1 gallon, you make 16 ounces, but you could make half a gallon. You could make 1.5 gallons. It's just that this is the pattern. This is kind of the rule here. And it's linear, obviously, but for every 1 gallon, you can make 16 ounces of cheese. So let's take a look real quick at what might make a discrete graph, okay? So we have each wheel of cheddar cheese costs $9. Each wheel of cheddar cheese costs $9, right? So I've got $9 times the amount of wheels of cheese, the number of wheels of cheese, equals, right, how much it costs, the amount. So I'm going to put my, down here, let me see here, I'm going to put my number of wheels, right? And the more I sell, obviously, the more money I'm going to make on my y-axis. Here's the deal, though. We talk about that rule of discrete graph has a composed of distinct isolated points, has a set of input values that consist of only certain numbers in a specific interval. So the problem with this is, when I start at 0, I can't sell, like, I'm selling wheels of cheese. I can't sell like half a wheel of cheese or a piece of cheese. You can't break off a piece of cheese and then ruin the whole wheel that nobody can use. You sell it by the wheel. So for every wheel, it's going to be $9, 9, 18, 27, 36, $45. But it's not going to include like the parts in between. So you can't connect the dots here. This is why it's going to be, that messes up, 9, 18, 27, 36. Oh, I missed 4, and 5. 45. So that's a discrete function. The first one's continuous, the second one's discrete because you can't sell pieces of a wheel of cheese. Alright, the graph of each function rule. Once again, I'm going to very quickly just make a table here. You've got the absolute value of x, minus 4. I'm going to start with our friend 0 as my input for x. And I'm not going to make I'm not going to do the equation here. I'm just going to put 0 in. So 0 minus 4 is negative 4. That's a pretty easy one, right? What happens when I put 1, negative 1, 2, and negative 2 in? Some weird stuff's going to happen, right? Let's see here. The absolute value of 1 minus 4 equals negative 3. The absolute value of negative 1 is still positive 1. Minus 4 equals negative 3. The absolute value of 2 is 2 minus 4 equals negative 2. And the absolute value of negative 2, right, minus 4 equals negative 2 again. So you're going to get this weird thing where I start at negative 4, right? And if I go to 1, I'm going to get negative 4, or sorry, negative 3. If I go to negative 1, I'm also going to get negative 3. Right? If I go to 2, I'm going to get negative 2. If I go to negative 2, I'm also going to get negative 2 for the y value. So you're going to get absolute values will kind of always have this picture here. It's like a V. Sorry, I'm not connecting the dots very well. It's kind of hard on here. It's like this V type function, right? But that's the graph of that function rule. It's non-linear, obviously, because it doesn't make a straight line. You have this weird V, and I've kind of botched the drawing of it. But you get the idea. The square functions, right? We have this x squared here. And if you remember back when we did, I think 1.6, and you were multiplying, negative numbers. Let's do this again. I'm going to put x, use y, and I'm going to make that x comma y column just so we can see kind of what's happening here, right? If I put in x for 0, that's a pretty easy one. 0 squared plus 1 is just 1, right? So I'm going to have 0, 1. That's a pretty easy ordered pair to plot. It gets weird here though, right? So if I go 1, negative 1, 2, negative 2, when I put negative numbers in and I square them, right? If I put a negative number in and I square it, that's a negative times a negative, which makes a positive, which is going to be exactly like I did with the absolute value. The difference is we get a curve here. It's kind of weird because it doesn't increase linearly here, right? It's kind of one input, one output. It increases exponentially, so my increase is going to be a bigger numbers as I go up in either direction. I'll show you. 1 times 1 is 1, plus 1 is 2. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Plus 1 is positive 2. So no matter what, it's going to start bending. It's going to start bending up. because I have a positive square there. So negative 1 is also going to yield a 2. 2 squared, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So I'm going to have the order pair 2, 5. And then let's realize that negative 2 squared is also positive 4 plus 1 is positive 5. So the difference between the square function and this absolute value function is we're going to start getting, right, I've got 1, 2. I'll do some that aren't necessarily on the table here. Yeah, it goes up to 9, so 3 will give us 9. 3 will give us 9. Oh, sorry, plus 1. Give us 10, sorry. 10 is what I want. And then 2 will give us 5. So we have to add 1 to whatever that square is. And we're going to make a u the other way. I've got negative 2. Or sorry, negative 1 and 2. Negative 2 and 5. And negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, obviously. Then I add 1, I get 10. So I'm going to have this kind of funky U shape that goes that way. It's a U because it's not increasing by like one number each time. We're actually increasing exponentially here.